The Seahawks beat the Atlanta Falcons 37-9. The Mariners make a big offseason trade. Let's talk about it.
Inside. Ball is caught. Touchdown! Seahawks!
Second with an RBI double, and the Mariners have the lead.
So, Seahawks whooped the Falcons 37-9. It was a better score than what I was expecting after the first half. I have some mixed feelings. Mitch, how are you feeling about this game?
That first half sucked.
That first half was unwatchable.
From both sides, from
honestly.
both teams. It was just horrible. It was excellent if you're a defensive fan, though.
Yeah, I mean,
the defenses definitely showed out for the first half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they kept saying in the broadcast, like, wow, we're watching a defensive shootout, you know? So, yeah, it was definitely...
And we were for the first half.
Yeah, it was one of those games. I think it was 6-6 going into the half, and that offense just looked lifeless. I was having a hard time watching the game. Like, I wanted to watch other things for a little bit, which they looked like they've looked the last couple of weeks. You know, ever since that Titans game, I don't know what the hell has been going on with Sam Darnold, with the offense as a whole. It wasn't good. The defense looked great. Nick Emanwari, just a demon all across the field. But that offense made this game hard to watch.
Yeah, like you said, especially that first half offense was atrocious.
But the second half, I don't know what Mike McDonald told them in the locker room, but the second half, that was the Seahawks. That was the Seahawks that I've come to know and love from this season. And it was good to see. It was good to see 17 points in the third quarter, 14 points in the fourth quarter, which really hasn't been part of the identity for the Seahawks this year. I mean, like I said, I don't know what Sam Darnold told them what Mike McDonald told them in that locker room, but it sure helped because the defense was still just as stingy. You know, they didn't allow any points in the third quarter, only 3 points in the fourth quarter. They were on it all game, defense, and offense thankfully picked it up in that second half.
Yeah, now if the offense could just do that, you know, normally, like every time, even when we're up big, if they just come out and keep playing with that intensity, but
yeah, no, that would be preferred for sure. So let's talk about I don't want to talk about the first half. The first half boils down to we sucked, the Falcons sucked. We got 2 field goals on all sides. Yay, lovely. I want to talk about this second half and the way the second half started, and specifically the way the second half kicked off. Rashid Shaheed, 100-yard kick return touchdown. Funny enough, actually his first return touchdown on a kickoff. He has had some punt return touchdowns, they were saying on the broadcast, but this is what you got him for. He was brought over. Yes, he's a great wide receiver, and he did check in with some catches today, which was nice. He did get some yards today, but he's absolutely the guy that you got for returns. He's a wonderful, wonderful return man, and he put that on display right to start the second half. I remember I was sitting there watching, and like I'm trying to be quiet and not like there's other people in the room, so I'm trying not to like go crazy, you know, but I'm just like sitting there just going like this, like eyes wide. I was loving it. I was in it. Yeah, that was awesome to see, just coming right out of the gate. And from that set the tone, honestly, for this game. That absolutely set the tone. And the Seahawks, Jackson Smith-Njigba checked in with a touchdown not long after. Cooper Kupp got a touchdown. JSN got another touchdown later in the game. It was all Seahawks from that point. The Falcons managed to get a field goal early in the fourth quarter, but yeah, basically from that return, it was all Seahawks.
Yeah, they came out with intensity that they've needed to come out with,
yeah,
instead of just consistently coming out and playing lackadaisical, from the second half.
Yeah.
Even when they're like tied or losing, they come out and it just doesn't seem like they have that intensity to win coming out in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I mean, I get it when you're up big, but at the same time, talked about got to play all 4 quarters, and then if you're tied, especially, but even when they were losing, it's just like, where's the intensity?
Yeah. Let's break down some of the head-to-head stats from today's game. So Sam Darnold had 249 yards, 20 completions on 30 attempts, 3 touchdowns, and he did have 1 interception. I think that was a tipped interception, which wasn't great. It reminded me the Seahawks are second in the league for giveaways. Yeah. That's a problem. That's our Achilles heel at this point right now, is just too many turnovers coming from the offense. Really need to get that figured out. But speaking of takeaways, Kirk Cousins did give 2 interceptions to the Seahawks, which was great to see. Nick Emmanwori got one. Hello, that was great. I think it was Emmanwori and was it Spoon got the other interception?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just
Witherspoon got the tipped one that hit like 5 other players before it finally landed in his lap.
Right.
And then Emmanwori got a tipped one as well.
Yeah.
And he just stuck with it and didn't let it hit the ground.
A lot of tipped interceptions in this game on both sides of the ball. Speaking of other...
all 3 interceptions in this game were tipped interceptions.
Hilarious. Defense, of course, was awesome. But yeah, Kirk Cousins, 15 for 30 on his completions for only 162 yards. So obviously Sam Darnold was the better QB in this whole game. But I wouldn't have said that for the first half as a whole.
It was DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence got the forced fumble. Witherspoon picked it up.
Gotcha. So also taking a look at rushing. So the rushing game was a little bit better today. Honestly, not nearly as many carries as we've become accustomed to. Usually they're in the 20s or so for carries. Zach Charbonnet, he checked in with 7 carries, 46 yards. Kenneth Walker, 10 carries for only 29 yards, so he really wasn't able to do much. They really seemed to just have Kenneth Walker on lock. How many runs did he have where it was a tackle for loss or something like that? So really wasn't good. One of the backups, Velus Jones Jr. checking in, 4 carries for 32 yards, getting a little bit of yardage there. Unfortunately, looking at this rushing box score, JSN 1 carry for -1 yards. So obviously he's washed. He's not going to win Offensive Player of the Year.
Of course, yeah.
But speaking of JSN, let's talk about the wide receivers in this game. So JSN had the most receptions again. Got back on that horse, had the most touchdowns. He checked in with 2 of the 3 receiving touchdowns today, or 2 of the 3 total touchdowns, I think.
Hey, to be fair, he's a wide receiver, and he did 1 run for -1 yards. Kenneth Walker is a running back. He had 1 reception for -1 yards. So
yeah, we got switches. We're switching it up 100%.
And poor Arroyo, who did get 1 target and didn't go anywhere with it.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate. But yeah, so something I love to see here, Rashid Shaheed checked in with 4 catches, 67 yards, beautiful. It was 4 on 5 targets, by the way. So only missed 1 pass. It was fantastic. Love to see him checking in. Cooper Kupp checked in with a couple of passes for 35 yards. AJ Barner, a few passes for 27. Just all in all, solid work from the receiving team, which was great. Love to see it, and love to see JSN kind of back into form after a pretty off week last week, and they were still double teaming him and everything this game. And something that was really working in his favor was his releases. They kept highlighting it, just like, look, he beat him on the release and things like that, which just kind of highlights one of JSN's biggest strengths is his off the line release, which I love to see. Taking a look at the defense, of course, Ernest Jones is your highest total in tackles with 11. Spoon had Jones, Spoon, and Emmanwori all had 5 solo tackles. Emmanwori, of course, having that 1 sack, which actually was the only sack for this team, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Emmanwori did have 2 TFLs, and Ty Okada also had a DFL as well. So, again, just even looking at the box score, really solid work by the defense. Interceptions, pressuring the quarterback. Yes, they didn't get a whole lot of sacks, but there were a few times where Kirk Cousins just had an open lane down the middle, and I was like, damn, wow, that's kind of unfortunate. Wish we had that good of an O-line. But yeah, defense was fantastic all game. Offense figured it out in the last half, like we said. Honestly, not much more to the story. I think my overall game highlight for this would probably be the Rashid Shaheed touchdown. That was awesome. Loved seeing that. What do you got for us, Mitch?
Just an update as well as far as receivers go, because Torrey Horton has been out, and we all know that he is becoming my favorite player.
Yeah.
But Torrey Horton, the injury update on him is it seems like it looks like he should be able to return for Week 16 against the Rams.
Okay.
That's what they are hoping. It all depends on how well he heals up, if he'll be able to come back for that game.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Like I said before, as well as with that injury, honestly, I say just let him rest for the rest of the season. Our receiver core is good. We need him for the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely need him for the playoffs for sure. That's kind of the general gist of this Seahawks game. Just it wasn't dominant, and like I said, Mike McDonald said some magic words in the locker room, and Seahawks came out firing on all cylinders on all sides of the ball, special teams, defense, and offense. So with that, I think we should move on to our stars of the week. Mitch, would you like to start, or would you like me to start?
You can go first.
Okay. My 3-star of the week is going to be the defense. Specifically, I'm going to highlight Eamon Warrior because he was the guy whose name I was hearing all game. Just doing some fantastic work as a rookie. I've loved him. I was really worried he tried to punch out the ball and seemed like he knocked his hand on the helmet. Was really, really worried, but he was okay. Was able to play for the rest of the game, and I think he ended up getting his interception after that, which was kind of awesome. So, Eamon Warrior doing great. Just the whole defense as a whole, that defensive line really showing why they're one of the best defensive lines in football. I almost said baseball. Secondary really kind of not allowing them to move the ball totally. Like they were able to get the Falcons were able to get some bigger pickups that I was kind of like, come on guys, like what are we doing? Why is he open like that? But all in all, I mean, the Falcons were only able to check in with 3 field goals. That's damn near a shutout right there. So coming off an amazing shutout win versus the Vikings, who did awesome this week, so they might be better than we thought. But then again, they don't have Brosmer starting, so that's going to make a difference. But this defense coming off of a shutout last week, a damn near shutout this week, they're absolutely my 3 stars of the week.
So my 3 stars is going to be Nick Amawari, just on his own. He did excellent in this game. 5 solo tackles, an assisted tackle, that sack, and then also the interception. Just all over the field today. And yeah, that worrying injury was kind of scary because when I saw that they were pulling him, because I looked away for a second and then I looked back and all of a sudden I see them having him come off the field. I'm like, again? Really? We're injured again, are we? I will say that's the only problem I've had is he's a little injury prone, but it's not ever been like really bad other than the first injury of the season that he had.
Yeah.
That was the only really bad one that he had. But since then, it's been little ones, but it's still like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I get it. You're a rookie. You're trying to prove yourself. You're trying to prove that you're the next Cam Chancellor, but like, you got to take care of yourself too. Can't be punching helmets.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've talked about it before. I don't know if we talked about it on the show before, but we've talked about it before of how like we really like Nick Amawari. He can absolutely be a huge staple of this defense for years to come. It just depends on how those injuries end up going. So, is he the next Cam Chancellor? I don't know. He doesn't hit as hard, but then again, he's probably not allowed to hit as hard. So, kind of hard
to say. If Cam Chancellor came back and tried playing the same way that he used to play, we would be back to being the most flagged team in football.
Absolutely. So with that, Mitch, who is your 2-star of the week?
I'm gonna give my 2-star to Jason Myers.
Okay.
He again perfect, 3 for 3 on field goals, 4 for 4 on extra points. Came in with 13 points. Mm-hmm. Not being half the points like last week, but still coming in with 13 points. Considering most of those did come from the first half. Mm-hmm. Jason Myers is my 2-star. Again, like I said, just excellent, perfect.
Yeah, no, that's solid for sure. I actually was thinking the same. Jason Myers just once again perfect in this game. Didn't have too many opportunities, which was good. You know, he was still perfect on his extra points, but didn't have a ton of opportunities for just straight field goals, unlike last game. So, dang it, you took my 2-star. So now this is I don't got anything to say. Repeat what Mitch said.
And his longest field goal today was 48 yards. So.
Yeah. Solid.
I think 56 was his longest last game.
Yeah. So then moving into the 1-star, This is hard for me. And honestly, I think I'm going to do this a little differently because my 1 star is the offense, but my no star is also the offense. And to explain to you what I mean, so my 1 star is the second half team. Just this team in the second half, they were like, "Oh right, we're playing the Atlanta Falcons, we're the Seattle Seahawks. Throw ball go forward, catch, make point." They remembered. First half wasn't really like that. First half, it was sloppy. They weren't getting anything done. It was the tale of two teams, really, which is why, honestly, for my 1 and no star, it is both offense, because they were so polar opposites. Like, if the second half offense is what we get for the rest of the season, we're going to the Super Bowl. If the first half offense is what we get, I don't know about that. Because you're just leaning on your defense too heavily at that point, And yes, we have one of the best defenses in the league, but God, you got to keep them off the field too. So, yeah, my 1 star, second half offense, and my no star is the first half offense. It's a weird offense, weird game, weird day, and a weird star for me.
For me, my 1 star is Rashid Shaheed.
Okay, yeah,
on his own, he gets that return, and that just sets the offense off. Apparently, like he shows, hey, we can score. Like, so just him getting that return touchdown, and then it just set up the offense to just completely destroy the Falcons in the second half was perfect. And then my no star is also the first half offense. Like,
yeah,
like you said, it was sloppy. Like.
Yeah.
If we have that same kind of offense, you can't, like, even if we have the second half offense, like when we go up against the Rams in week 16, it's not going to be enough if you play the same way you did in the first half against the Rams.
Right. Yeah.
Like, if you play the same way that you did in the first half in this game against the Rams, they are going to destroy you.
Yeah.
They will destroy you enough in the first half that they could score no points, and I feel like even if you come out and play this with this much intensity in the second half, you're too far down. You're not coming back.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I 100% agree with you on that. One phrase for this offense, the first half offense, sloppy jalopy. Absolutely. So, yeah, that's going to do it for our stars. Kind of just a general wrap up of this game. Just the second half is what I need to see moving forward. They've shown that this team has it in them. They've got the capabilities to play like a dominant team, which we knew that before the Tennessee Titans game. And then just the last couple of games, it's been like we're holding our breath. Like, are they going to beat these guys? This Falcons team is exactly the kind of team that you needed to make sure that you were dominant against. And I think that's why the first half was so hard to watch, because it was just, you weren't playing a bad team like they were a bad team. A team like the Falcons versus a team like the Seahawks, it should not be 6-6 going into half. So seeing them pull away at one point, it was 20 unanswered points until the Falcons finally got their field goal. Seeing them pull away and turn it from a 6-6 game to a 37-9 game at the end is exactly what I needed to see from this team. And I'm hoping that they can take that and just use that as momentum moving forward into facing a scary Colts team, which we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, just exactly what I needed to see from this team. Really, really glad to see that they were able to step up when they needed to. And the second half was a wonderful game to watch. Looking ahead at the Colts, I'm feeling a lot differently about this game than I was about 2 hours ago. Reasoning for that, in case you don't know, unfortunately, Daniel Jones did go down with an Achilles injury in the Colts game versus the Jaguars today. And that totally shifts the landscape of what I'm expecting from this game. Because the Colts have been hot and cold. They've been on a little bit of a cold streak recently. But they were dangerous. I was worried about them, frankly. I was a little worried about the Colts. And I'm worried about every team that we're going to face because it's football, any given Sunday and all that jazz. But without Daniel Jones, I don't know. It's this game takes a totally different shape for me. It's still an important game. It's still one that obviously you're going to want to make sure you win. They're 8-5, we're 10-3, so it's a little bit more. there's a little bit more separation, I think, than we were expecting earlier this season. But it's an important game to win because the Rams are going against the Lions. There's a very real chance that if the Rams win today and we're still tied for first, there's a very real chance that, if we win our game and the Rams lose to the Lions, we could take sole possession of first place in Week 15 when we go against the Rams in Week 16. Go ahead.
Quick update on the Rams-Cardinals game. They are tied now with 8.5 minutes left in the second quarter.
Fantastic. Beautiful. Just what I want to see. So let's take a look at our kind of head-to-head preview for the Colts. Again, take some of these things with a grain of salt because this is going to be a very different Colts team from what we were kind of anticipating running into earlier this season. But looking at the head-to-head, the Colts are third in the league with 29.8 points per game. The Seahawks are fifth in the league with 29.2. So the Colts technically have more points per game than the Seahawks right now, but we'll have to see how that all shakes out. Colts are eighth in the league with 254.2 passing yards. The Seahawks are 11th with 244. Colts are seventh in the league with 134 rushing yards per game. Thank you, Jonathan Taylor. Whereas the Seahawks are 19th with 116.9. So really, really going to be important with Daniel Jones out. They're going to be leaning on Jonathan Taylor heavy. So it's going to be very important for that defensive front of ours to make sure that they are very stingy against an elite rusher like Jonathan Taylor. He's right up there with JSN in talks for Offensive Player of the Year. So yes, there's no Daniel Jones, but this team is still scary purely because they have Jonathan Taylor. Colts are sixth in the league with 35 sacks. The Seahawks are fourth with 40, which makes sense. And the Colts are sixth in the league with 12 interceptions. The Seahawks are third with 13. Now, I don't know if these numbers are updated for this week, so take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. But yeah, this game is still going to be a tough one to win. Absolutely. Especially since, I don't think it's confirmed whether or not Daniel Jones tore his Achilles. They've just said that it was an Achilles injury. I don't think they've announced the total scope of what that injury looks like right now, but this is going to be an important game to win 100%, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really fun. I'm very interested to see how the Seahawks handle Jonathan Taylor. I do think it's a winnable game. Absolutely. I think it's an important game, but I think it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a fun one. What about you?
Yeah, I think the Seahawks can win, also considering ESPN also thinks the Seahawks can win. Mm-hmm. They have them at a 53.1% chance to win this game.
Nice.
Obviously, that makes the Colts winning the game at a 46.5%. Mm-hmm. So it is close, but the Seahawks, have over 50% chance to win at this.
Yeah.
But it is probably going to be... Now, granted, this is them going off of when Daniel Jones, at the moment, is doubtful to play in the game. Mm-hmm. It does not say that he won't be.
Yeah.
And at this moment, with all the information that we do have on the injury, his estimated return is for that game.
Yeah.
So they're thinking that it's not too bad yet.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't been. It's just, like you said, Achilles injury, so that's what they're going off of. And then you have, I don't know the Colts players that well, so whoever Pierce is, their main wide receiver. Pierce apparently is questionable, had a head injury in this game, so he's expected a return for the game, but they're not sure.
Yeah,
mind you, that's their top receiver. Mm-hmm. The most receiving yards he has 689.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, definitely not
so that's JSN. Yeah, that's his season receiving yards at the moment, are 689, and he's their top receiver.
That's crazy.
Compared to JSN, who is at 1,336.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that's not updated after this game.
Right.
Because that's what he was going into this game. Jonathan Taylor, compared to Kenneth Walker, Jonathan Taylor has 1,282 rush yards this season, whereas Kenneth Walker only has 733.
Yeah, it's a pretty... it's rough. like we said last week, I think we just need to, well, the video didn't go out, and I'll touch on that in a second, but I think we just need to accept the fact that this team is mid, unfortunately. Running game wise.
Yeah. Our defense though, so you got Latu, their defensive end, who has 5.5 sacks, and then we have Leonard Williams, who has 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then Franklin, their linebacker, has 87 tackles compared to Jones, our linebacker, who has 83.
Yeah, so it's
those are their top guys, and then they do have Daniel Jones compared to Sam Darnold. Daniel Jones, if he is in, that is definitely scary because he has 3,041 passing yards, whereas Sam Darnold not far behind at 2,913 yards. Again, these are not updated yet.
Let's also take a look at the like some of the more underlying numbers there too. Daniel Jones has 377 attempts with 256 completions. Sam Darnold 324 with 221. They both have 19 touchdowns, and Daniel Jones has 3 less interceptions than Darnold, with Darnold having 10 and Daniel Jones having 7. So honestly, they're a pretty evenly matched quarterback set. Just Daniel Jones has more attempts because the Seahawks are trying to run the ball more, I think, than the Colts are, which is really funny since the Colts have the best rusher, I think, in the entire league. So honestly, it's a pretty evenly matched team in some aspects for sure, and I think it's gonna be really, really interesting to see how this game goes for sure.
Because also, mind you, those attempts and everything, Daniel Jones is at a 67.9% completion rating versus Sam Darnold at a 68.5.
Yeah.
So
Sam Darnold, I think, is a little better. This is the part where normally we would move on to our power rankings. So we won't have power rankings for today's episode. This is kind of a makeup episode with what was supposed to be this week's episode just not working out audio-wise. So keep an eye on the YouTube page where we will likely record a separate video for going over our power rankings, and depending on what's available at the time, we'll try and get an injury. We'll try and look at the injury report as well. That should go up shortly within the week. Yeah, I guess. Damn, it feels weird having no power rankings. Let's move on to the Seattle Mariners, who did make a fairly significant trade. Mitch, let me start you off. Do you know Harry Ford?
of course I know who Harry Ford is.
Yeah, he's in Washington National now. So, yesterday afternoon, the Seattle Mariners announced that they have traded Harry Ford and minor league right-handed pitcher Isaac Lyon, who was in Modesto this year, who's okay, but young enough that it's kind of hard to tell if he's anything special. Traded him to the Washington Nationals for Jose Ferrer, who is a left-handed bullpen reliever. The shockwaves that this sent throughout the kind of Mariners sphere, it was a lot of mixed feelings. A lot of people love Harry Ford. You know, he was touted as like this. He was the number 4 ranked Mariners prospect. He was kind of expected to be your backup catcher to Cal Raleigh. And so now with trading him away to someone who, so looking at Ferrer's stats just over his 3 seasons with the Washington Nationals as a big league reliever, he is a 4.36 ERA, which yes doesn't sound good, but ERA to me kind of equates to something like batting average. It's a good number to know, like Colton from Mariner Mojo was saying. It's a good number to know, and it's information, but it's not the end-all be-all for a pitcher, and I certainly agree with that. But he had a 4.36 ERA. He pitched 142 games in his career, and that's 142 and a third innings in his career. 12 saves, 121 strikeouts, and a 1.26 whip. So honestly, kind of mid-range. You know, he's not terrible. But looking at his Baseball Savant page, which this is a pretty high-end analytics stats. So for those of you who may not know like super high-end baseball stats, I want you to just focus on the height of the percentile for some of these things that I'm about to throw at you. For his ground ball percentage, he's in the 99th percentile, which means that he gets a lot of ground balls. He's not a high strikeout guy. He's in the 93rd percentile for barrel rate, which is good for a pitcher. That means that he's missing a lot of barrels, or they're not really able to barrel up the ball very well, which is contributing to that ground ball. His walk rate, 95th percentile. He does not walk a lot of guys. His fastball velo is 97.7, which puts him in the 94th percentile, so he has one of the faster fastballs in the league. All of his other stats are kind of low to mid-range, some of his run value stuff. The problem for him, has been the defense that has played behind him. I can't remember who it is, but the Washington Nationals shortstop was one of the lowest rated shortstops in the league, and their second baseman wasn't much better defensively, which is not good when your pitcher is a ground ball pitcher. When you have a guy who's a ground ball pitcher, you need to have a stingy defense. You got J.P. Crawford behind him. Yeah, he makes some errors. He definitely had a few more errors this season than I think some of us were expecting, but he's getting older. But I still think he's an average to above average defender. Then second baseman is where a lot of those question marks come in. Again, we don't know what the Mariners are going to do at second base. Jorge Polanco and the Mariners have expressed mutual interest, but it doesn't sound like they're very close to a contract right now, and the winter meetings will be starting here in the next couple of days. Cole Young is an option. What's up?
Winter meetings start tomorrow.
Yes, thank you. So, that's when a lot of the ball is going to start rolling on some of these free agents. So we'll have to see, maybe there's a Polanco decision during winter meetings. Not necessarily guaranteed, but would be nice because I'd like to know where he's going. Come home, Polanco. I miss you already. Cole Young is your other option at second base, and he isn't the most amazing defender, unfortunately. Then you also do have the option of Ryan Bliss, where he's a solid defender, but it's also going to be hard to tell because he's coming off of a entire gapped season, So, I mentioned the middle of our defense specifically because with this guy being a high ground ball rate, the strength of the defense is really going to matter with this guy. But with a lot of his underlying values, a lot of his, he has a solid slider. He's a sinker change slider pitcher. All of them above average velocity. So he's a solid repertoire, great secondary pitches. So he's always going to be keeping batters on their toes. It's definitely someone who can make a difference. If you think about the production that you would get from Harry Ford this year, being behind Cal Raleigh, who's going to take the majority of the catching time, so Harry Ford would not really be able to get used to the big league staff, get many at-bats and things like that. He's not going to be able to offer you as much as someone who is an already, big league, pitcher who just might need a little bit of tweaking, which where do you send a pitcher who needs to get some tweaks to be a little bit better? To Seattle. T-Mobile Park is the best ballpark for pitchers. So I'm okay with this trade. At first, I was iffy on it, frankly, because again, I'm familiar with Harry Ford. I know how good he is. I know how good he can be. He has a high ceiling. I'm not familiar with Jose Ferrer. I looked at ERA and I'm like, oh God, we traded for him. But that's why it's important to look at some of these underlying numbers and look at some of these underlying stats. I think he has a lot of potential here in Seattle, and I'm excited to see what he can do because he can, at the very least, be a solid low leverage to mid leverage reliever, which the Mariners need a solid version of that. We have guys who pitch in the low leverage, mid leverage, but he could take the role of a Taylor Saucedo, of a Trent Thornton, of a Gregory Santos even, which, the Mariners did waive all three of those guys, and he can do that better, I think, than these three guys. I do think with what he has available to him, he is a better pitcher than those three, as much as I love them. And so I'm very excited to see what Jose Ferrer can bring to the ball club. Something, though, kind of a catalyst with this trade is what do the Mariners do at backup catcher? You can't have no one behind Cal Raleigh, no matter how good he is, no matter how many games he's going to play. What if he gets injured? What if he's just tired? You got to give him a day off. So there's a few options that the Mariners have with catcher right now. One of the top options is going to be looking at the free agent market. It is the winter meetings. Looking at guys you don't need to look at JT Realmuto. He's going to cost a pretty penny. Victor Caratini, he's going to cost a pretty penny. But you can look at some of these lower WAR guys you could have a reunion with Mitch Garver. You can pick up Jonah Heim, who had a rough year on the Rangers, and see what you can get from them. Now, some of you who just heard me mention Mitch Garver's name and Mariners in the same sentence probably just threw up in your mouth a little bit. Why would I be okay with a Mitch Garver reunion with the Mariners? Well, Mitch Garver at $12 million average annual value is awful, and that's kind of what his contract was last year. But if you can get him for $3, $4, $5 million, I can stomach what Mitch Garver was able to produce. See, Mitch Garver is a solid backup catcher. If you look at his performance as a whole and put him in just the lens of this is a backup catcher, he's great. But when you look at him, he's a backup catcher who's making $12 million a year. Yeah, he's kind of awful. So I would be okay with a Mariners reunion with Mitch Garver for the right price. I think is something that's really, really important. Another option the Mariners may have at catcher in the long run, you might just need to get someone as a stopgap, is Luke Stevenson. This guy is touted. He's one of those people that a lot of guys have said could absolutely be a top Mariners prospect at some point this year. He could absolutely turn into something. Maybe you don't expect to see him in 2026. I think that'd be a little crazy. But depending on how he develops this coming season, he could absolutely be your backup catcher for 2027. So what do you do for this year? I think you pull one of the free agents who's just not the greatest off of the free agent market. I mean, the Dodgers won with Will Smith as their backup catcher, and he wasn't really doing all that well this year. So you do that. It is the winter meetings. You see if any of the catchers are available for a trade for something that's not too crazy. A lot of interesting things that you can do with the Mariners and the catcher, but sad to see Harry Ford go. He was one of my favorite prospects for sure, but I'm excited to see what Jose Ferrer can bring to this team 100%. So other than that, there wasn't really a whole lot going on in Mariners land. Like I said, the winter meetings are starting, but they haven't picked anybody up. You know, Josh Naylor's kind of been the biggest signing. And then, of course, we just picked up Jose Ferrer this week. So exciting to see. I think the ball is about to start rolling on the season and on some of this offseason stuff. And I can't wait. I miss baseball. I'm loving what's going on with the Seahawks right now, but I miss baseball. But that's all I got for the Mariners. Mitch, do you have anything you want to bring to the table real quick before we wrap things up?
I don't have much as far as catchers go, because you definitely know baseball better than I do. But a name that I've seen is Josh Caron.
Mm-hmm.
Karn. I don't know how to pronounce his last name,
Mm-hmm.
but he is a catcher. His estimated debut year is 2027 right
Mm-hmm.
now. But I mean,
Yeah,
if you call him up and give him a chance, see how he does until you can find maybe that replacement if he isn't doing that well, or who knows, maybe he surprises you and is just really, really good at the majors where all the pressure's on him.
Yeah, I mean,
Ryan Bliss kind of did that. He wasn't doing the best at AAA at one point, but then they said, "Screw it, we need someone up here." Gave him a chance, and the majors pressure made him be a breakout player, and he did better at the majors than he did in AAA.
yeah, I mean, some players are definitely.
So who knows?
Some players are definitely going to be those guys who you're going to have players who fold under the pressure of the major leagues, and you're going to have some guys who absolutely rise to the occasion. Looking at Josh Caron's stats here, last year he was with Everett. He had a 197 average, 269 OBP, on base percentage, a 331 slug. So his OPS as a whole was 600. So that's not bad. Average OPS for big leaguers is like 750, somewhere in that range. So he did okay. Wasn't the best. So I think with Caron, frankly, with either of these guys, Caron or Stevenson, I want to see them have a year or have start in AAA and just keep working their way up, which kind of puts you back in like, okay, you gotta pick up someone for someone to kind of hold that position for now. But yeah, I mean, it does leave you with some questions, but at the end of the day, I think this trade makes you better. I think it makes you better right now, and you can focus on being better a little later for sure. So I'm okay with this trade. I can absolutely stomach it for sure.
Yeah. The only other thing I had as far as like Mariners and picking people up and everything is obviously been paying attention to Okamoto.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it does not look like the Mariners will pick him up. It more seems like, because right now it's the Pirates, Red Sox, and Blue Jays looking at him more heavily. And the main reason being is just because of how much it costs to get him, to post him, essentially, because his posting fee owed to the MPB Giants would be about $11.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just to get him not counting how much his contract would also be to begin with.
Yeah.
And it does seem like apparently the Red Sox are in the lead right now of the bidding war to get Okamoto. So
Yeah.
which is fine because it's between the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, and I'd rather him go to the Red Sox over the Blue Jays because he is really good, and that would be terrifying to have any of our pitchers have to face him throughout the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Would be nice for sure, but yeah, that posting fee is kind of high, so we'll have to see. Like I said, obviously,
Hey, who knows? Maybe a trade.
Yeah.
After they post and pay that amount to get him, maybe you trade him.
Luis Castillo. It's kind of sounded like he's gonna stay, but you certainly could. On MILB, a lot of Mariners prospects are have an ETA of this year for coming up to the majors. Guys like Holt Emerson, which I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the opening day roster. Frankly, Lazaro Montez could potentially make it this year. Michael Arroyo could potentially make it this year. You never know. I mean, it's really interesting. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of guys coming down the pipeline right now, and it's going to be really, really interesting to see what the Mariners do. I think this spring training is going to be a really, really interesting spring training for the Mariners.
Final update though on the Rams-Cardinals game going into half as we end this episode. The Rams are unfortunately up 24-10 at the moment.
Well, any given Sunday. So okay, now that is going to do it for us here at the 12th Inning Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to episode 14 of the 12th Inning Podcast. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week whenever this video ends up going up. Thank you again for working with the different format with us recording on a Sunday. But yeah, like we always say, Trident's up. Go Mariners.
And go Hawks.